Dr. Dirksen?
Okay.
Have you heard from Tracy or Jamie?
I have not heard from anybody.
All right, we got it.
Well, we got enough to
We've
start.
got a quorum.
Okay. I'd like to call to order the Board of Education meeting for Monday, May 14th. If everyone would rise to recite the Pledge of Allegiance with me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, we have Pamela Preston, Tammy West, Jeff Hires, and Lisa Killian present. Sorry. It's been a long day, sorry. We need an adoption of the agenda, including the supplemental personnel report, and we have a updated personnel report in front of us.
I would make that motion. We adopt the agenda, including the supplemental personnel report.
Okay.
A second.
We have a motion by Jeff and a second by Tammy. All in favor?
Let's raise your hand. There you go.
And just in time, Jamie, we have approval of bills,
Yes.
and you had a chance to look those over.
Yes, I did. Thank you. And so I'll make a motion.
Okay.
A second.
A motion by Jamie and a second by Tammy. All in favor? 5-0. And we have, next up, we have a little token of appreciation for our Stuco representatives for this year. I just want to say Leah Stein, Efren Martinez, and Anthony Valente did such a great job this year, and it was really such a joy to have you come and report to us every month, and we really appreciate you taking your time to come and fill us in on what's going on in your schools. So if you would join us up front here.
I'm good. Yes.
Okay.
I just got here too.
Well, I'm single today. David's in Texas. So I had to run Max to practice, Chloe to practice. And
Yeah.
her team,
I like the 6 o'clock meetings because we get out early, but I don't like getting here.
I know, I was like busting out of work, got both kids to
When
work.
I go home at 8, I'm happy.
And you're not done, so now Leah can give her report.
Last time. All right, good evening. Last time I mentioned to you that we were going to have our new officer elections. So we did have those. Our president for the upcoming year is Alex Rangel. He's with me this evening, and he'll talk to you in a bit after I'm done. Our vice president for next year is Victoria Garcia. Our secretary is Alexa Martinez. Treasurer is Marcos Fisher, and public relations is Abby Harding. So they'll be getting to work, and I think they have some ideas. They might, I think in the works, they're going to have the back to school thing maybe again, so they'll be working on that stuff over the summer. And then recently we also had a meeting. We met with the suicide prevention group called TALC, T-A-L-C, on April 30th, and we just shared some ideas about next year, how to spread positivity and for those new students, and also just how to make an influence on the lives of each student at Dodge City High School. So that was really successful.
Great.
And so that's all I have for you, and then I'll have Alex give you a little update. But before I go, I just want to say thank you to you all again for letting me talk, and thank you just for everything. I really enjoyed my experience at Dodge City High School and just in USD 443. So I feel like I'm well prepared for my future and excited to see where things take me. So thanks again.
Thank you, Leah.
Thank you,
Turn it
Leah.
over to- And he wanted me to let you know that he's a little under the weather, so his voice doesn't normally sound like this.
Hello, board, and hello, Superintendent Dirksen.
Yes.
I'm Alejandro Rangel, and I'll be serving as your DCHS Student Council President next year. I am the son of Lucia and Martine Rangel, and I have 4 siblings, 2 of which are currently attending USD 443 schools. Along with Stuco, I'm involved in GSA, NHS, and 2 CASIA-sponsored activities, including Scholars Bowl, or consisting of Scholars Bowl and debate. And I've also seen some of you, if I have seen some of you, at Dillon's, which is where I work. I've been working. I think I've seen him, and I've seen Dr. Dirksen there, as well as Mr. Hammond over there. During my speech for the office, I outlined a 10-point plan modeled after President Woodrow Wilson's 14 points. Using these, I look forward to working with teachers and administrators to create solutions for our students and give them the tools they need to succeed. I look forward to working with you all, and I hope you have a great week. Do you have any questions for me?
Very impressive. You going to start the League of Nations all over again?
Kind of.
Okay.
Very good.
Good to meet you.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Efren, you're next up.
Testing. Okay. I would love to start this speech with a quote from Dr. Seuss. Don't cry because it ended. Smile because it happened. It's been an honor speaking in front of the board. It changed my life being president of Comanche Middle School. It's been an honor, and let's get the show on the road. Next year, Andrea Dickes will be the new CMS president and will be visiting with you. On May 2nd, both CMS and DCMS had an opportunity to listen to Kaylin Moores. He talked to us about reaching our goals and not giving up. On May 9th, David Barber came to CMS and talked to us about social media, about both positive and negative about it. He challenged us to put our screens away for 4 days. Luckily, I did do that. Tonight is the first night of the 1,000 Strings. It is the orchestra's version of Panorama. The CMS Career Fair will be held on Wednesday of this week from 9 o'clock to 11. Every room in CMS will be filled in either a career speaker or a college representative. The Comanche Extravaganza will be held on May 23rd at 1:15. There are several talented students that will be performing in the Extravaganza. The 8th grade standoff will be on Wednesday at the park. We will have ice cream and popsicles. This year has been a great year for CMS, and we have a lot to be proud of. The 8th grade girls basketball A team were the league champions. The 8th grade boys basketball B team were league champions. 8th grade girls track were league champions. The band earned 1 ratings at the league festival. Silver choir earned 1 rating at the league festival. The stock market team took 3rd place out of 199 teams in the state of Kansas with a profit of $6,000 in 9 weeks. We started an art club this year, and students traveled to Hayes for an art show, and we had 2 art shows. A student-led prayer group was established this year. Several guest speakers came in to visit with our student body this year. Do you have any questions?
Was that real money?
Yes.
What was the stock?
I think you did better than my stockbroker, huh?
Yeah, I want to know what the stock was. No,
Very
thank
good.
you. Very
Thank
good.
you
It's an
so
honor,
much.
and thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
And not to be last, but somebody has to be last. I
Somebody
guess.
has
So Anthony.
Good evening. Well, school is winding down, and we're preparing to end the school year. It's a very sad moment. On May 1st and 3rd, we welcomed 5th grade students into DCMS for 5th grade orientation. They got to meet with Mr. King and learn about our school's 5 beliefs. Get involved, look sharp, everyone matters, set goals, and be organized. Then the students met with some of the Stuco members to talk about organization. The 6th grade teachers took them on a building tour and talked to them about classes. They also got to meet with some of the IT students to look at their virtual tours that the IT students made. The kids had a great time and learned a lot about their new school. Parents were also invited in at night to also see the school, meet the teachers, and learn more about the middle school. Student Council hosted our last dance of the school year on May 11th. We did a Hollywood theme. Stuco is also currently holding elections for our 2018-19 student body president. Voting for next year's president will happen tomorrow. We also have our last round of music concerts for the school year. The last concert for choir is May 8th, 2018. Orchestra is today, May 14th, and band is the last week of school. NJHS is holding their induction ceremony tomorrow night at 6:30 p.m. We congratulate all the new members. Every year, we have Cardinal Jam on the last day of school. This year, we are excited to see the talent that our Cardinals hold. We also get to give out many awards to the students. Some of these include the Stay Happy Award, the Citizenship Award, and Attendance Awards. We're so proud of everything our students do. And lastly, I would like to thank you all for your time and allowing me to speak. And yeah, thank you for having me.
Thank you, Anthony.
Thank you, buddy.
Great job.
We've really had a great group of Stuco representatives this year, so that's awesome. Okay, next up, we have recognition of visitors. Persons may present ideas or concerns regarding USD 443 schools. No action will be taken by the board at this meeting. Personalities and behavior of employees are not to be presented during this period, but are to be reported to the employee's immediate supervisor. The president shall determine the amount of time to be spent for citizen participation. And I'm aware at least one, Terry Malone, would like to address the board, so you may go ahead and do so at this point.
Thank you. I am Terry Malone, and I've been a Dodge City resident for 43 years. Had 3 children that are proud graduates of 443. And I came here tonight to thank this board and all of the former 443 boards for the visionary and steadfast support for the litigation that has helped not only the Dodge City kids, but all children across the state of Kansas. Dodge City is a major plaintiff and a major member of the Coalition for Schools for Fair Funding. There are 50 school districts, and 1/3 of the school children are represented by the fair funding. We have all seen recently and witnessed on TV teachers striking in West Virginia, Arizona, Colorado, and Oklahoma. These teachers and their children are not so lucky to live in a state whose Constitution protects its children by requiring the legislature to provide funds for a suitable education. Way back in 1851, the people who settled here believed that parents should provide the education for their children. In 1861, the Kansas Constitution adopted the territorial legislature's belief that it was necessary to have more technical assistance in schools, more uniformity, and more funding, or at that point, any funding, and that the schools should be within a convenient distance to most students. It all sounds pretty familiar. The legislature believed in 1861 that education was the key to the state's growth and improvement. Again, sounds awfully familiar. In 1966, the people of Kansas wanted to ensure their children would receive a suitable education and required the legislature to provide the necessary funds to make that happen. Our legislature has shown an unwillingness, unfortunately, to provide adequate funding, just as the legislatures in West Virginia, Arizona, Colorado, and Oklahoma have. The difference is that those teachers and parents have had to take to the streets, close their schools, go on strike, and beg for adequate funds to educate the kids. Kansas handles that issue in a much more civil and orderly way. We have the ability to ask the court to look at the evidence and the constitutional law and to rule whether the legislature is obeying the law of the land. Now, everybody knows that Brad and I are very good friends, and he's a former law partner. I just got his letter today, or it said, and in that, Brad has written that, quote, taxpayers and our schools are ready to see this issue resolved. And I say, yes, we are. We are ready to see if the legislature will finally follow the law by providing adequate funds. It is predictably, the legislature keeps spending money to hire experts to see whether they are providing adequate funds, and they keep getting the same answer, no, you are not, and not by a long way. So now some legislators think the best resolution is to eliminate the legislature's constitutional responsibility to provide adequate funds. That is not a solution. That is a recipe for disaster for our state. So I encourage this board to please adopt a resolution to fight against any attempt to amend our Constitution by deleting the legislature's responsibility to provide adequate funds for a suitable education for our children. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank
Malone.
you. Thank you.
Okay, next up, we have the consent agenda. That includes the approval of personnel, including the supplemental personnel report, approval of minutes from our April 23rd board meeting, approval of the 2018-19 operational handbook revisions, including the district safety handbook, substitute teaching handbook, and classified professional development handbook, approval of the renewal of Rosetta Stone software, of Bright Beginnings Policy Council minutes for March, and the approval of Dr. Herrera consultant fees. Yes, ma'am.
To accept.
Okay.
A second.
All right, we have a motion by Pamela and a second by Tammy. All in favor? 5-0. All right, going on to new business, curriculum and instruction. We have the District Wellness Committee update and future plans.
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
I'm April Baugh. I teach PE and health at Lynn Elementary. Last year I came to you and I had you guys, I don't know if you remember, but I had you out here. We moved, we threw balloons and balls. I'm not going to do that this year. Sorry. So I have a couple members with me today of our wellness committee. Kathy Conradi, she's going to speak to you in just a minute about some nutrition things, and Rebecca Swan's going to talk to you a little bit about some recess work that we did. And then we also have the administrative staff here that was very valuable to us. Mrs. Nedler stepped in and helped us out quite a bit, but we had support from all three, and so I really appreciate that a lot. For those of you who are new or not familiar, for years, Shirley Moran was the coordinator of this committee. Oh, sorry, that kind of made me tear up a little bit. And in June, she called and asked me if I would please take it. And so it's kind of been an honor to be able to take all of her work and just try to keep it up. It's been a lot of work, though. I am happy to do it. It is a passion of mine. I believe that wellness is important for everybody involved in a school. So just a few things that we wanted to share with you that we've worked on a little bit this year. We are still part of the Healthy Schools Grant. For those of you that are not familiar, I think there's 8 or 10 districts across the state who participate in that grant. And what it means is there are several deliverables that we have to meet to say that we are making a priority in our district. And then it also means I get to participate in all kinds of webinars and listen to reports about once a month from across the state. I can tell you, and I'm proud to tell you this, that the changes that we are making on the classroom snacks, and that is like, we're going to be questioned statewide about how we went about that, because everyone is like, oh my gosh, somebody is finally stepping up. So I'm very thankful for those changes that are coming. One thing that we wanted to focus on as a wellness team away from the grants was a staff wellness challenge. Crystal Gaswick kind of took the lead with that, and she did a wonderful job of creating a true wellness challenge. So it wasn't about losing weight. In fact, that wasn't even part of it. It was about drinking water and getting sleep and making good, healthy choices and mental health. And it was just a very nice little district wellness challenge. And the winner, there were two winners, Lynn Elementary. Yay, I promise that was not a cheat. And second place was the high school. Again, I promise it wasn't a cheat. So we were really excited about that. And that's something we want to do again next year. We felt like that it was, if nothing else, for 6 weeks, it made people think a little bit. It made staff members think a little bit about what they were doing in their life. So that was pretty exciting. Another exciting thing that we took on with the grant was interactive health technologies. So it's IHT for short. It's Adidas is the brand, and what it is a heart rate zone. And so with our grant, we were able to purchase 12 of the zones, is what they called the fitness bands. Myself, I'm using them at Lynn for the elementary pilot. Mary McGordy is using them at Comanche, and Crystal Gaswick is using them at the high school. It's been amazing. Oh my goodness. It's definitely a challenge. There's a lot of technology use behind it that we've all three had to work really hard to learn at. Earlier this snow in April, I've been a little busy, so forgive me for the dates. We took a visit to May South Middle School, where I happen to know a physical education teacher who's been using them for about 3 years at the middle school level. And my principal, Amy Oliveros, was able to join us, and I think she would speak. It's absolutely amazing to see what that technology and how that can transform a physical education class. And I could talk to you for hours about that, but it really is an incredible way. There's really not another way that shows the kind of data that it does to measure moderate to vigorous physical activity. And as you all know, that's the key. That's what we need to be able to show and to show the research behind. And it, instead of measuring steps or anything like that, it measures the heart rate. It measures the kid's heart rate. And what makes it different than others is it's right there on their wrist. There's nothing to flash up on a screen. It's on their wrist. There's 3 colors. Red is your heart rate's really high. Blue is easy, and yellow is where you want it. Yellow is moderate. And so all the way down to my little second graders, even if they don't have the band on now, because they've had the chance to wear the band, they know they'll come and say, I'm in the yellow zone. It's medium. I'm in yellow. Or, man, I was in red. I saw my number, and it was all the way almost to 200, so I was in red. So it really is incredible. And hopefully next year, Crystal and Mary and I can come and give you a true show of what happens and bring them in and let you guys try them out, because they are pretty incredible. Also, we were able to send a PE teacher to the National Convention in Nashville, Tennessee, a PE teacher in addition to myself. And as we talked about who we were going to take, I wanted to take someone who I knew would, one, be able to get a lot from it and bring it back. Having attended the National Convention before, it's an incredible experience. So Taylor Doan from Sunnyside was able to attend this year, and if he was here, I'm going to quote him kind of. At our last in-service, he stood up and he said, you know, guys, I didn't realize that I would go there and come back so motivated to make a difference. And so I thought that was an excellent summary by Taylor of his experience. I'm going to stop talking for a second and let Rebecca talk to you just a little bit about recess.
Hello. We talked about recess being a priority, but not restricting it and adding alternatives. As you know, everybody has the recess that is tied with lunch. And so we had some ideas of recess maybe being before lunch. I know some of the schools do it, but not all the schools. And that kind of ties into the nutrition piece too, where if they go out and play first and they get their energy out, then they're a little more hungry and they're more likely to sit down and eat everything that is served to them. And we talked about recess should never be withheld as a punishment, that no child should ever lose a recess, that they should be able to go outside and enjoy that time and that movement. And we talked about when we have those days where we have to be indoors, that it's important that there is movement included in that indoor recess, even if it's just something like a Go Noodle or a Jam and Minute, something where they're moving around for a few minutes of that time so that they have that physical use of recess. And In some schools, I know, and especially with the younger grades, they already add into their schedule the extra recesses. And as the year gets going further and further on and the weather gets better and the kids are getting restless, the older kids maybe need a little extra time outside. So just having the alternative to be able to plan a recess whenever you want or just a little break outside is kind of nice. But really the only recess that is built into schedules is around lunch. And then they really utilize, kudos to the PE teachers because they really utilize that 30 minutes of time that they have with each grade level in addition to the recess.
Very good.
All right, I'm Kathy Conradi, and I've been with the wellness policy since 2007 when it first originated. So there's been a lot of changes. Basically, the wellness policy was brought around and is required, I'm not sure if everybody knows that, with the agreement for the child nutrition program every year. So when we have our reviews, the wellness policy is one of the major things they go over. So this is basically, it's a very good thing, very, very good thing. But it is, I wanted everybody to be aware, it is something that we have to do, we have to follow, we need to make improvements. And as far as nutrition, yeah, there's a lot of things that are coming down the pipelines that I kind of get to be the person goes in when I find out we're selling lemonade after school or we're selling popsicles or we had some other kind of sugary thing. I have to tell them, do you have your, okay, I'm totally blank on what it's called, your agreement that states that you have a 2 days you're selling stuff or you're not selling stuff. So next year, basically we are working very, very hard on eliminating food as a reward to kids in the classroom. We're, and notes have gone out. I know my grandkids have brought home notes from Central School telling us and making us be aware of the birthday party snacks needs to be along the healthy line. No more cupcakes with frosting this tall on them. They do have pumpkin cupcakes, chocolate chip pumpkin, powdered sugar. They're healthy. Bake them with whole grain. Those would work. There's nothing wrong with carrots, celery, and peanut butter. So anyway, but we are doing that. That is going to be something that we encourage. We are encouraging next year that teachers, the administrators, parents, we're all role models to kids. So we don't come in with a McDonald's pop. We don't come in with, you got to brown bag it. Put it in a brown bag, put it in your thermos. So we don't know that it is McDonald's, Burger King, something like that. So we don't have candy on our desks. We don't have out visible for kids to see. We're their role models. So that's something we're working on for next year. I'm sure there'll be some roadblocks along the way, but that is something we will be striving for. I do want you to know that on the website, Now Nutrition has available to parents NutriSlice. If you go to the website, go to nutrition, there is a link. NutriSlice has the menus now. The menus, they could click on those. They're in Spanish or English, and you can find out the calories per meal. Parents can find out allergens. And that allergens will be completely done by next year. So if you have a child that is allergic to milk, you have a child that's allergic to cheese or maybe corn, or you go in there, you will click those little items, and then it will cross off on the menu what that child cannot have that day. So that's a new thing that we are doing, and that will help along with the wellness policy.
Hey Kathy, does there also carbohydrates?
Yes,
all
there's
that?
carbs,
Okay.
And that's up and running now.
Okay.
So, and we've had several people made aware of it, and we have nurses that know about it, because every year we provide a lot of the nurses the carbs for the diabetics, and we don't have very many diabetics now that notify us. They pretty well take care of things, but we do have some parents that do request that. So yes, it is on there. It's called NutriSlice.
Okay, thanks.
So, but one of our biggest thing is we've got to make sure the district employees all know about the wellness policy. And so that's one of the things next year that because they don't know about it. They don't know about it. So that's a big thing that we have to do, is to communicate the wellness policy. Questions? All right.
And I will say, when I went and looked at the NutriSlice, it's incredible. From a PE and health teacher, I'm excited to use it next year. I think that a lot of classroom teachers could really have some pretty valuable lessons with it. It is a pretty amazing thing. I was really excited when she shared it. I was like, oh my gosh, send it out to everyone. So it is a great one for sure. I wanted to give you a brief report. Our nurse was planning on being here tonight and was not able to make it. The district nurse that's on the wellness team, she has a huge role. She might do just as much work as anybody else on there. She was able to complete a diabetic management checklist, and then that will help district-wide with diabetes management within the children in our district. So that was a pretty big deal, and that was a big focus from the health department as well. She also attended the Kansas Healthy Schools meeting in Mays, which gave her some more information on medication guidelines and nursing plans, as well as vision screening. And then she will also attend a nurses workshop this summer in Wichita, as well as part of the wellness. She and I and Blaine Coffey also attended a regional wellness workshop in Garden City. It was a cool workshop, but perhaps the coolest thing was the kid involvement, and we had the youngest kid there, and they created videos, and it was just a really neat experience for him. We have worked really hard at increasing the size of our wellness committee this year. It had gotten pretty small for whatever reasons, and we have a representative from every building, and I specifically say building because it's not just about the schools. It involves all staff members. So we were able to do that. We were also able to get some community members involved. Dr. Joy has joined, the manager of Applebee's, and I don't remember his name, forgive me, as well as the city HR intern. And then I'm attempting to talk with Western Plains right now, and I think that that'll be a valuable community member to get involved. A little bit of tobacco prevention. What we did with that was we ordered some bands for all 4th and 5th grade students, some little bracelet bands, as well as a quick little lesson on tobacco prevention. We felt like that was an age that was critical. So those were sent out about a month ago across the district to all the 4th and 5th graders. Some of our future plans, we are on the agenda to speak at new teacher orientation, to have about a 10-minute block with the new teachers, because as she talked about, a lot of times our staff members don't even know what the wellness policy is. So we decided at our last meeting that it would be valuable for us to go to that new teacher orientation and get them from the beginning and let them know that it was there. And then we also, we wanted to come here tonight and just be able to share so that you guys were aware of what was going on. And we just hope that we can continue to promote the wellness throughout the district. Do you guys have any questions? I know that was a lot of information in a little bit of time.
What % of the physical education is in the classroom and what's out on the playground? I mean,
Physical activity or?
Physical activity.
I guess I don't really know exactly the percentage.
Ballpark.
I hate to quote classroom teachers because I don't know how much activity they're doing with them in the classroom. I can talk about.
No, I mean for the PE class itself.
Okay.
You know, your block, your
Right.
period.
Okay, so elementary, they get 25 minutes a day, every day.
Okay, is that in the classroom, learning stuff about health, or is that movement?
Sure. So in the elementary level, the physical education and health is all in one. There's no set time we are supposed to spend on the health curriculum. It just needs to be part of what we teach. The majority, I would say 80 to 90% is movement.
Good.
Yeah. And I think that's a pretty safe measure district-wide, that it's, you know, in middle school and high school it gets a little different because they have a specific health class, whereas in elementary it's a combined thing. So.
Good. No.
Yeah.
I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah. We could take more PE time, for sure. I'll take it.
I would give it to you. If I was king of the world, you'd have it.
More PE, more recess.
Yes.
They need it.
I just wanted to add that the Wellness Committee has a great attitude, and that makes all the difference in the world of a successful committee. And it is an emphasis, and we are required to do things, but what is great about 443 is the things we are doing, we know are helping us, and we want to do them. It's not just because it's required. So that makes a big difference, and it starts with the leadership of the committee. And these three are fine examples of that, as the nurse is as well. So.
Thank you.
Your enthusiasm is contagious, certainly.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. I might be a little passionate about what I do.
Yeah, that's good.
That's life or death.
Thank you, guys. I
Thanks,
appreciate your time.
ladies.
April,
Thank you very
I've been the board member that's
Uh-huh.
worked with Shirley all along. And I've even gone to some of the trainings that you guys go to and things when she lets me know.
Sure.
So keep me in the loop.
Okay.
I'd like to.
And there is a shared drive that I created this year, where we put all of the materials. I'll make sure and get you guys included so you can take a look whenever you have a free minute in your lives. But that you can read all of our board minute or all of our meeting minutes from this year. Jane Loader created I think I combined there. Jane Diaz created an alternative to restricting recess, and that's included there. So there's some good stuff in there for sure, and I'd be happy to share it with all of you.
Okay, thank you.
All right? Thanks, guys.
Thanks, April.
Two people made it.
They're weak as that camera's on.
It's great information.
They don't want to see the superintendent stuff.
All right, next up, we've got the approval of grade 6-8 math continuation materials.
Good evening, Madam President, board members, Dr. Dirksen. We have, in early fall of this school year, board members approved a pilot program to be used at the middle schools in order to provide an alternative to work with kids in our MTSS system for Tier 2 and some of the Tier 3 kids, but we're targeting the Tier 2. And if you remember in MTSS, you have classroom supports, and the main curriculum is Tier 1. Tier 2 is those kids needing more support than what can be provided in the regular curriculum. And then Tier 3 is usually the more intensive assistance, and also consists of special education and other type of intensive assistance that way. We had our curriculum audit, and we are prioritizing the ELA focus on the curriculum development and in looking at materials for ELA. So on part of the cabinet's direction, we looked at the math programs at the middle school of continuing as is for 3 years, so that the teachers can continue what they're doing, servicing the kids, but we would make a decision on future math decisions would come after the ELA, and we're forecasting that to be 3 years from this time as a timeline as we look at the different studies that have to be done, selections, PD, that kind of thing. It's going to take about 3 years to get through the ELA process before we tackle the math. We, in the 3-year contract in front of you, the Houghton Mifflin is the vendor that we use, and the pilot has ended, so we're purchasing those materials to continue the program. It's $131,535.73 for the 3 years. And that was, we feel it's actually very affordable. It sounds like a huge number, but when you look in comparison to 1,500 kids, and it's coming from textbook funds, is where we'll be paying for it. The program is showing good success in working, especially with our level 1 kids. If you think about our state assessments, the level 1 kids are the kids that are struggling the most, and that's where we're seeing the best increases in growth in our students. And we're hoping to continue as we get better use of this program, and the teachers are better skilled at implementing it. That will only continue to show that increase, but we're very pleased with it. When we introduced the program, it was brought to teachers, volunteers who wanted to try out the program and demo it. They then said, yes, this is something that we want to try. The pilot brought that to them, and then with the Tier 2, the numbers of kids, our triangle of MTSS is supposed to be a traditional triangle, and your Tier 1 is the base that's supposed to be the largest, and then the Tier 2 is the next smallest, and the smallest group would be Tier 3 at the top. we tend to have a little bit what we call an inverted triangle because our numbers are so high in the Tier 2 category that it's inverted itself. And so we have a lot of our kids needing that Tier 2 assistance. And so this program it increases the teacher's capacity because it provides differentiation for them. It gives leveling, not just based on their answers, but also on how they do the work. And so the system detects how they try to attempt the answers, and then it can provide individualized lessons. It can be in print totally. It can be print and computer, or it can be virtual. And it does operate on the iPads. It has a Spanish version, and EL support's also built into it, so that it's pretty well-rounded, and the teachers have the anecdotal evidence that we get from the teachers is that it's very powerful, it increases their capacity, and it's working well with kids. So we're asking the board for approval for the continuation until we tackle the math programs, that this pilot could continue on, and with the purchase of these materials, $131,535.73 for 3 years.
Does this help with the state testing? Do you find that this follows right in line, this curriculum follows in line?
It is aligned to the college and career readiness standards that the state uses, and it is aligned there. And again, when we're looking at the growth that we're seeing is in the most impact we're seeing is in that level 1, moving them from level 1 to level 2 is where we've seen the most growth this year. We're hoping to see more across-the-board growth as we continue.
Sounds like you've got buy-in from the teachers, which
Absolutely.
Which we purchase it, they're going to use it.
Absolutely. And if you remember when Dr. Seguin was talking, she said, listen to the teachers, and the middle school teachers are saying this is what they want to use.
Okay. Anybody else have questions? Okay, so I'll make a motion for approval.
I'll second it.
We've got a motion by Tammy and a second by Jamie. All in favor? 6-0. Thank you,
Thank you.
Dr.
Thank you, sir.
Fortmeyer. All right, next up, approval of network storage equipment. Mr. Whiff?
Good evening, board members, board president, Dr. Dirksen. On page 29 is my agenda item for today. I'm trying to figure out how I can talk about what we've done in the past with this. I think some of you remember how I came before you and asked for network storage and promised you a long time, and it didn't turn out to be quite right. And the reason is I could not forecast how staff is going to use this system. And now it's actually 5 years later, and we're running out of space, and we're running out of warranty. So it's time to upgrade. And this time and I'm not sure I've done it right yet, because Mr. Hammond is coming along after I started working on all this and says the new administration building wants me to scan more stuff in to save storage, to save storage boxes, and we're working on that. I've actually got a person assigned to this already, and we should be able to do quite a bit for that, and this system will do it. And if it's not right here, for about $45,000, we can upgrade it another level. The amount of storage this system will allow us at this time is 3 times more than we have right now. I thought that's a pretty good start. And I'm standing here before you today, and maybe it's not. But we're going to start with this. It's a whole new system. It's flash drive. That means the drives are flash. They're not no moving parts, so they should last longer. And Mr. Hammond was so kind in helping fund this, where I didn't know how I'm going to do it, but Mr. Hammond found a way. We went out for bids, and I want to talk a little bit more about how I went about deciding what to do. We could host and cloud storage some of this stuff, but when I started looking at what we have in place now with the email system and storage for the people, I'm estimating that will be right around $180,000 a year, never ending.
That's to store it in the cloud.
Right.
That was going to be my question.
Hosting it out.
Okay.
And then back with Mr. Cunningham's days, we worked on some of this stuff over and over. And we were trying to, for example, the DocuWare, with the student storage, where we store the student records, we have to archive them forever. And we have to be able to retrieve them. We have people 65 years old coming back for records for whatever purpose. We have people coming back and say, if we can't find those records, they can't find a job. It's very serious business. We're required to do it. When Mr. Cunningham and I started looking at that last year, $10,000. Then I said to Mr. Cunningham, I need to look at this a little bit more. So I started questioning it, and it's not $10,000. It's just a start. We don't own the backups. We're at the mercy of the company, and they charge us to push that data through the internet to their system by bit. So in the end, the least I could come up with DocuWare storage, right, that was like $35,000 a year and needing to grow every year. The best solution I can think of is have the system in place here and bring consultants in to help us install it. And that's what we're doing. That's all inclusive here. If you look at the storage itself, Proactive Solution is the only one that bids, the lowest one, last one on your line. That's the storage itself. And then the servers, we want to upgrade the mail servers as well. That's included there. And then 5 years of servers is $56,000, which I think is really good. Some training is included there and everything else. So if you understand what I was talking about, trying to push it to the cloud and all that kind of stuff, versus this is a lot cheaper and a better solution for the district. And that's why we're going in this way.
How about security?
Huh?
How about the security for everything that
We have systems in place right now. It's secure. We approved the firewall, I think maybe before your time, from people who are accessing into our network is pretty difficult. The industry standard security is what we have in place already.
Okay.
And it's controlled by users. Like admin cabinet, only the admin cabinet can access with that user. Now, if somebody gives out their password, I can't help that much. Or if a teacher puts the password under their keyboard, I can't help that much either. But the computers are configured if somebody tries to download viruses or stuff. We've been pretty fortunate. The computers usually kill it on the spot. And if we keep things up, we haven't had much trouble so far.
Ray, I've got a question on where you list the different vendors and their bids. The total for Proactive is $388. And then down in the staff recommendation, it says $338.
I think it's 388, wasn't it, right?
I don't understand.
Where it lists the different vendors and their bids, Proactive's total bid number is $388,376.40.
Right.
And then under staff recommendation, the amount is different. It's $338 instead of $388.
Okay, that's my mistake.
So the correct.
I'm actually needing 388.
380, okay.
Sorry about that.
No, that's
Just
fine.
now saw that. Thank you for catching.
Right, do you have a breakdown of where, like, how much each server is and, you know, what we're actually, for people like me, I don't know anything about technology, and when I see this number, it frightens me to, and just to be honest. Do you have any kind of breakdown or like what is it really storing? I guess I've never seen, obviously, I know there's a lot more storage than what I deal with, but it just seems like a lot of money for me to.
I would have to put that in weekend review. The 273 is 3 different units. 30 terabytes, 30 terabytes, 30 terabytes.
No, you're talking, okay,
On
break
the-
it down.
On the storage
Tone it
array.
down for me. Like, because you were saying you're gonna put servers in, different
The
servers?
server, the
or they're
server
already
parts,
in?
they're $15,000 each.
Okay,
But they're boosted up. They're not the regular servers.
Okay.
We buy servers, then we buy servers.
okay.
There's a special purposes. They're email servers, and also they will be helping with the storage, driving it, how people log in.
Ray, in layman's terms, how much storage is a terabyte?
Somebody
A lot.
1 terabyte, I see them. Is that what your question was? I'm
No,
sorry.
that's not mine, that's.
That's not what you want to know?
No,
thought you wanted to know how
I'm
much
just,
storage that
like,
is.
but like what, I guess, kind of explain to me, what are we storing? Or what is the?
Oh, what are we storing?
Like,
Okay.
per teacher, or, where are these
We
servers
don't-
going? I guess
Okay,
that's.
there maybe half a terabyte of storage.
Okay.
I wouldn't know. It's plenty. I wouldn't know how to say how many catalogs can be. If you would put text on, I think every textbook in this district could fit on it. But when you start going pictures and movies or videos with teachers, videos and audio, that's what takes up a lot more space. I'll think about how I can put something in review and we can review on that. All emails, and that's why I'm coming to. Teacher storage is unlimited. We've never restricted or given them a quota. That's to the generosity of this board. Email the same way. We have to kind of keep it for 5 years. Like when a person retires, to help facilitate that, in the past, we've let it sit on that storage for 10 years. But to try to prolong renewal, we went down to 3 years. We moved the stuff onto a CD and have it in a locked cabinet, and that didn't work either. We're growing too much with staff, what they're trying to store right now. It's more into audio and videos. So people just don't want to trash their stuff.
Very good. I will make a motion that we accept the bid from Proactive Solutions for the network storage equipment.
I'll second.
We've got a motion by Jeff and a second by Tracy. All in favor? We've got five.
I would need more information, I think.
We've got
forward
5
for me.
and opposed? 1. Okay.
Thank you very much.
All right, thanks, Ray. All right. Next up, we have the 2018-19 Certified Educator Licensure Professional Development Plan revisions. Mrs. Nedler?
Good evening. There looks like there's quite a few additions and corrections into this handbook. We submitted this to the state for review, and they have to approve how we approve professional development points and the expectations that we offer with that. And they came back to us in December with some edits. And our handbook addressed the state requirements, but also kind of worked in the district expectations with it as well. And they really wanted to just say this is the state requirements, and then if we wanted to do something different, we could have a separate kind of guideline. And so Dr. Fortmeyer and I and Yolanda Teben, we went through all of the recommendations made by the state and just made those adjustments. They came back and just put in notes, so they didn't actually change our document. They just suggested what could either be taken out of or reworded or whatever. So we went through that, took it to the PDC committee and had them kind of look over it. And so there's nothing huge in it outside of a lot of technicalities. One of the biggest changes, though, is how we have members on that committee. In the past, they were appointed, and now they will be elected. And so next year, we'll open up an election, and we'll ask the current members if they're still interested in being on it, have them as incumbents, and then ask for new nominations, and then go through a voting process. And there is a 3-year term limit on people on that committee, and so we'll follow that. And in the past, we will do the same protocol that we had in the past, but outside of the appointment, then we'll just open it up. So we feel like the handbook still
holds us accountable to things, gives us good guidelines that we need, but it kind of simplifies it, and then we know that what's in there is accepted by the state. Any questions?
And this is information only, correct?
Yes, because it'll be first read. We'll ask for approval in the next one.
I just have a quick one. It speaks
Yeah.
to National Board Certified Teachers. How many National Board Certified Teachers do we have in our district?
I do not know that answer. We'll look and get that to you. My thought is if you have to keep more than 2 states on your licensure, you might as well go that route. So, okay, we'll find that and get that to you. Any other questions? Okay, thanks.
Thank you. All right, we have the approval of Bright Beginnings Early Childhood Center Early Head Start Plan of Corrective Action.
Good evening. Back in 2016, our program, in 2015, we had our program submit our 5-year budget. And then in my first year as director, earlier in the year, we had an opportunity by the state of Kansas who approached our Early Head Start program and asked our program if we would be interested in receiving additional funds to address our the quality of child care for birth to 3 children in our community. And with that, we thought we could do that by partnering with a couple of other child care programs in the city, and at that time we applied for a no-cost increase where we went from our Early Head Start enrollment through our home visitation program from 55 to 70, and then for our child care partnerships, we said that we would serve 14 children. And so altogether, our Early Head Start enrollment in 2016, we were approved for an increase to 84. At that time, we were working with the Office of Head Start in knowing how to report our enrollment every month. We submit to the Head Start Enterprise System, which is a database that Office of Head Start has programs across the nation input data. And so our early Head Start enrollment went to 84, but from that time, we've had difficulty getting to that number. And we've also had a difference in the way that the state asked us to report our numbers and what we understood that the national office wanted us to report. So for a couple of years now, we've gone back and forth with the state and with our regional office and the national office about how do we report our numbers. And then last month, we had our Focus Area 2 review team come out, and they suggested that we look again and that we ask our state some questions. So I'm going to go back to earlier in this year. The Office of Head Start went to our regional office in Kansas City, and for the state of Kansas, many of the programs that we had in the state of Kansas were issued a letter of under-enrollment. And we received our letter back in January, and in the letter it says that you should be contacted by your regional office and knowing how each program was going to address their under-enrollment. And so at that time we did have discussions with our regional office who said, Debbie, when your program reports your Early Head Start numbers, then there's a little section that has like comments. You need to address how your program is trying to increase enrollment to get it up to the 84. We've presented to our regional office and to our board and policy council as well through our community assessment and our self-assessment that in our community, the home visitation part has taken a big hit, especially with the political climate where families are a little bit wary of having someone who would be considered government coming into their homes. And so our home visitation has really had a hard time getting to the number of 70. On the other hand, community members will let us know we are interested in childcare programs that provide high-quality, low-cost childcare for our families so that we can work or go to school. So this year, as we submitted our grant, we asked the Office of Head Start if we can reduce our home visitation from 70 to 55 and then increase our childcare partnerships from 14 to 30. That hasn't been approved yet, but we've already submitted that. When our Focus Area 2 team came out, they suggested that we immediately contact our regional office because as the Focus Area 2 people looked at our notice of awards, which we get in August. So far, we've had like 3 different notice of awards, but every time that you look at the comments part, it has had 55. Say 52, excuse me, 52. And so our Focus Area 2 person said, Debbie, if they really is 52, then you have never really been under-enrolled. And so that needs to be sorted out. You know, what is the number that you've been funded for? Tammy was part of a discussion that we had at the very end of April with our regional office and our state office to try to sort out how do we accurately report what we're supposed to be funded for, and then how we are going to show that we're trying to address this. Because the letter that we received, that many programs in the state of Kansas received with the Early Head Start, said that we have 1 year to increase our numbers or we risk losing some of our funding. So we had that discussion. We feel like we're pretty clear on what we're supposed to do. The regional office did let us know it was an error on their part that the notice of award should have said 84 instead of the 52, so we are under-enrolled. They are aware, the regional office is aware that we have plans in our new grant, and they understand that monthly we've been reporting our numbers and what we've done to address the under-enrollment. But then we also needed a written plan, and so working together with our grant specialists, the plan that we submitted to you was something that we worked through with our grant specialists. We have no doubt that we'll be able to, with the plan that we have, meet our enrollment numbers as it's adjusted. But the plan that we submit, we need approval for from our policy council and from our board so that we can upload it then into our Head Start Enterprise system as something that the board is aware of, and that this is the plan that we have to address that so that we will not lose funding for the Early Head Start program. What questions do you have? It has been
You said that
back and forth.
you went from 14 childcare partners to 30?
30 slots, yes. And
30
that's
slots.
our recommendation. That's what we've asked in our grant to fill those, to
Double.
increase 16. And with that, we'd be adding 2 additional Early Head Start teachers and paraprofessionals, and then actually 3 paraprofessionals for the Early Head Start daycare, childcare partnership classes.
So where would those classrooms be?
Good question. Right now, we have it in Building B, which is just right below our alternative high school. But to the west, there's what we have Building A. And our recommendation is that we would move our 4 Early Head Start classrooms to the 4 classrooms that are out along with TEC. TEC is on the west side, and then there's classrooms that are on the east side. Move the daycare, infant and toddler classes there, and then move those 4 preschool classes onto what we call the main campus in buildings B and C. That does a couple of things. One, it has all of the daycare in one spot, and those rooms, they've been used before, I believe, for Early Head Start. I know that Early Head Start, our Early Head Start specialist, Kathy, had said that they've used some monies for those rooms. And then it would bring all of our preschool classes onto one campus so that when they get ready to go to PE or an assembly or whatever we have, they're not having to go back and forth in inclement weather, freezing weather. They're looking forward to being inside one building.
Mm-hmm. Good.
What other questions do you have? So what I'd like to ask for our program is that you would approve our action plan that would address the under-enrollment for our Early Head Start program as we've submitted that so that we can upload that to our Office of Head Start.
Tracy, did you have a comment or question?
Nope, I was just going to make a motion.
Okay.
I was like, mid-motion. I'll make a motion to approve the corrective action plan.
We have a motion by Tracy and a second by Jamie. All in favor? 6-0.
Thank you.
Thank you, Debbie. All right, Human Resources staffing request, Dr. Nance.
Good evening, Madam President, board members, Dr. Dirksen. This evening, I want to spend a few minutes talking about the need for school counselors in our district. One of the most difficult positions that we feel is the school counseling position, just for lack of candidates. Particularly difficult to fill is the half-time position at Willrose. If you remember in the past, the principal there was part-time principal, part-time counselor, and when that principal retired, we weren't able to find a candidate with those same qualifications, but we were able to find some really great candidates that were part-time principal, part-time instructional coaches, and that left a gap for counseling at Willrose. The first year that we had that gap, we tried to piece it together with staff that we already had in place, and it was very inconsistent, not effective service for our students. This year, we tried a different approach. We contracted out outside of the district to have services provided from 2 different individuals to meet the needs of the students at Willrose. So about last Wednesday, our plan was to ask the board to give permission to expand this position into a full-time position so we would have a better opportunity to recruit a candidate. Thinking that half of the time would be spent at Willrose, and there's more than enough need throughout the district to spend the other half time servicing students at middle school, high school. I mean, half time just doesn't even cover all of those needs. So that's my original request to you, that we consider doing that. I do want to tell you, in the interesting world that is HR, Friday, we had a candidate interview for the position of counselor that we had posted at Willrose, and that candidate is interested in not only doing the situation that I just described to you, would be interested in that, is also interested in perhaps being part-time counselor at Willrose and part-time librarian, and going to get the certification that's required, the 18 hours she would need to get that as well. So things just kind of change a little bit as far as what might work for Willrose, but it doesn't really change the need in the rest of the district. So it's kind of a quandary on what to do here, because I feel really justified in coming and asking for that other part-time counselor, because I really want to see our students throughout the district be the beneficiary of that. At the same time, 2 part-time positions at Willrose that's an impossible task, to come up with someone that just wants to be a part-time counselor and someone else that just wants to be a part-time librarian. So when she kind of mentioned that she would be open to that, we were all over it. But I still don't want to downplay the need for counseling in our district. And along those lines, I do want to let you know that I'm working with United Methodist Church in a program at KU designed to give some of our social workers in the area opportunity to go get a master's degree in counseling that may transfer to some work that they can do in our schools. In fact, one candidate is doing some internship hours in the coming year, in the fall and the spring, in 2 different elementary schools. So that is a direction that we may eventually start really trying to develop to fill that need. In the meantime, Dr. Dirksen, help me. What are we going to do?
Well, I want to be very supportive of this, because when we put the agenda together, this was the plan we had, but then the interview was on Friday, And logistically speaking, being able to make a match where both halftime positions were filled by one person that was there already, that saves all the transfer, the travel, the I got here late, and it really creates a great opportunity. So I think our best idea changed on Friday when we found out, because this would definitely be our best idea. That doesn't minimize the fact that we do have counseling needs on a larger scale, but they may even be more than just a halftime counselor beyond Will Rhodes that we want to fill. I think what I'm going to recommend is that we really pursue this halftime counselor, halftime librarian, and then we work with the counseling program, we work with the principals and figure out what our actual counseling needs will be, because they're growing people. Our social needs and our mental health needs are expanding, and we have to take that responsibility. We have to be proactive in this community and show that we understand that. So at this time, I think this is a good direction to start, and I appreciate Ramona's efforts. And I know she felt bad about coming here, but it's a matter of timing, people. When we had the agenda put together, this was the best idea we had, and then Friday, the doors opened up a little wider.
Yeah, so I think what my recommendation now would be that for the time being, maybe we table this particular request and I visited with that candidate again to make sure, are you really interested in seeking those other 18 hours? Obviously, for the first school year, she will not be qualified for the librarian position, although she'll hold it. So we might get a little ding from the State Department on that, but she will be working toward it, and I wouldn't anticipate that we would see the same situation for the following year. So I feel very fortunate that we had that candidate walk through our doors and express the interest in doing that. So I believe at this time I would like to back off this current request because I have a second request that maybe we'll talk about that one a little bit more. So my recommendation is to table that request for a future date.
I think that's the best way to go.
Yep, I think it's a good way to go. And we'll pursue that candidate on a full-time position with,
Yeah.
with two responsibilities.
That makes more sense.
She's from out of town. Candidate's out of town.
Yeah, so that doesn't need any board action on
Yeah.
that, because we're just filling spots that are already vacant, so.
Yes, both of those spots already exist. Okay, so the second request that I put together, I really did in conjunction with Dr. Fortmeyer. And in fact, Glenn, I may ask you to kind of step up and speak to the needs of this particular program. It's a staffing request for a full-time counselor at the Therapeutic Education Center. Glenn, if you wouldn't mind coming forward and sharing some of your ideas on that.
TEC in Rialto Way is just an ever-growing demand for us right now. The behaviors that we're dealing with and we're seeing at all grade levels just continue to become more and more severe. The paras that we have supporting the program are not, they're high school graduates. They are not skilled people to work with the most demanding clientele that we have in the district. The counseling services that we have on site are patched in through Compass Behavioral Health, but they're not on site full time. We send kids to them for group therapy. They have individual appointments for their individual therapy at Compass Behavioral Health and other private therapy support vendors. But we have gaps that occur all day long, and these kids who are in crisis and who are needing that support, there's no counselor for them. When they need to talk, when they need interventions, and there's also times when our teachers have to have planning periods and things like this, that there be a time for character ed and social emotional standards that are now required by the statute, that we could have a counselor teaching those lessons. There's a need for a counselor to be at that location full time. And that is what we're requesting, because that person can be kept busy the entire day between our suspension programs. And if you can just clearly see that if we're sticking anywhere from the low end of 40 kids to the high end of 80 kids in a suspension program. Where else, that counseling right there more than justifies a counselor just for those kids. Then you put the kids who are in there because of the emotional and behavioral health needs, and they're there because of the severity of their needs, then that further justifies the counselor. Much of the Compass Behavioral Health is supporting the special ed aspects of it, but this teacher can also assist those, this counselor would also be able to assist those students when they're not actively working with Compass Behavioral Health or the other vendors that support those students. So we really feel like this is a high-need position, probably the, I hate to say it, and I don't want to slight any other kids, but they are the most demanding kids that we have in the district that need the highest attention, and we're supplying it with paras right now that just don't have the training and the skills to do it. And so we're requesting that a counselor be hired for this position so that we can try to address those needs.
And that would replace the 2 paras as part of how we're doing that.
That's a different, that's a different program. We're going to put, at JSRDC, that's
the other one, okay. Okay.
and we talk about that in June.
You're a month
We
ahead.
went into our,
Mhm.
that
Yes.
we did, okay.
Yeah.
That was,
Yeah. The goal is to have that person in place by fall.
It's our goal.
And this means they would not have to travel to Compass? Or are they still gonna,
They would-
still gonna have that?
We meet tomorrow to talk about group therapy, and we want to have it on site, either with this counselor running it or in conjunction with CBH, but the counselor would be working with the CBH people on site. That is our goal, but we still are talking about how that will work. But we feel like in order to help fund this position, there's $19,000 in transportation costs that would come to this position if we didn't transport. So that's going to be our main emphasis, is not to do the transport to Compass and have it done on site with us. And I think Compass is willing to do that, so I'm not anticipating any issues. Their personnel, I think, would enjoy having a counselor that has that training and expertise to be there with them, and it will enhance the quality of both programs during group. And then everything else would be on site for us except for private therapy, the one-to-one therapy. Right now, Compass we have offices for them because of the restructuring that we've done, that they can do the therapy on our campus as well. So we have been sending them, but we're trying to get that tomorrow to be locked in where they will do it on campus as well. And that just maximizes instruction.
And that all that transportation, either one-on-one, comes out of our transportation budget, or is that part of the campus, or the Compass?
The group is on us, the one-to-one, they transport in their vans. We don't pay for the one-to-one.
Is this counselor, it seems to me like a more specialized counselor than just somebody that graduates with a counseling degree.
Yes, and that's why the position we're saying is going to be a behavior counselor. It may not necessarily be a school counselor, because it could be someone, they need to know the population that we're working with. And so what we're doing is looking at some people that have expressed an interest that if we created the position that they would apply for it. And they are working in the community with this type of students, with these type of needs. So they understand they're coming in eyes wide open on what they would be dealing with.
I think this hiring process needs to be vetted pretty heavily, because it's just not a counseling degree.
Absolutely.
and there's currently not one over there. It's just.
That's correct. There's nobody.
Are you ready for a motion?
I know.
I was ready a long time ago.
Important.
Yeah. I move that we add this full-time counseling position to the Therapeutic Education Center / Rialto Way.
Thank you.
We've got a motion by Pamela and a second by Jamie. All in favor? 6-0.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right, Mr. Hammond?
Madam President, members of the board, Dr. Dirksen. This evening I come with several items to go through, and I will do my best to be expedient, but I do hope that if I if there's something you have questions on, please ask as I go through so that we make sure you get all the information you need. The first item is there, with the death of Ken Strobel, there was a lack of a board attorney. At the January 29th, Brad Ralph was willing to serve as our district interim attorney, and on January 29th, the board so named him. The board has directed me or administration to really look about filling that position for the coming fiscal year. And what I did, I reached out to KASB, and basically they put together some information they had. It seemed dated, but that's the most recent information they had, what a board should expect from a board attorney. I thought that we'd provide that just for the board's information. They also gave us basically what they'd put together for another district, kind of an RFP for proposals, request for proposals from school board's attorney. We kind of tailored that after our own needs here. And, so the suggestion is that with the Board of Education respectfully requested to direct administration to issue a request for a proposal for a school attorney, with proposals to be presented at the board meeting in June for board action. So if there are any questions, we'll be happy to address those. If not, we will move forward.
Is there any requirement for residency?
There isn't any requirement for residency in this particular thing. I recognize that the board may want to consider that. We talked about that administratively. We recognize the board may choose to have a local resident. I guess our sense was if we cast a wide enough net, you all can make the decision based on the people who come in. If you want us to put a requirement for residency, we sure can do that.
Well, it would, obviously, it'd be far more preferable to have a local attorney, but I also know that there's not a whole lot of attorneys that would have interest in this.
It is a
So that
specialized
puts
kind
us
of
in-
practice. Brad was here a minute ago, he disappeared. But it is a specialized type of practice,
Right.
and there are not a lot of people around who at least bring that expertise in. And as a board, you may have to make a decision. Do you want expertise or a local person? Do you want somebody, what kind of training are you going to expect? There's a whole discussion, I think, at a later date. We were just bluntly trying to get the net wide enough so that you can have some options and choices.
Yeah, and I thought, I just hate even to say this, but we sort of have a shortage of attorneys. And I never thought I'd ever say that.
Yes,
I would like it to be local if possible.
Yes.
That'd be my preference.
It'd be mine too.
Do you want me to include that in the thing, or do you want to basically cast a little wider net and then see? Because we may not even have, we may have a local attorney express interest, we may not, I don't know. I mean, it just kind of depends what.
I think you almost have to cast a wider net just to get interest. I understand the importance of having one local.
Yeah.
But due to, our attorney population.
I think for the importance of having a board attorney in place by July 1, that we need to go ahead and move on this month.
We need to what?
Move on it this month
Oh, yeah.
and not rewrite it.
How soon can you get this process started, Bill?
Tomorrow?
Okay. I was expecting a little more. I'll give you tomorrow, Bill.
You need a motion for this? I move that we direct for a proposal for a school attorney.
Second.
We have a motion by Pamela, a second by Tracy. All in favor? 6-0.
The next item is basically, we bid out our waste disposal services. The good news is, the bids, we had 2 bids, and the bids came in less than what we're currently paying. So the Board of Education is respectfully requested to approve the low bid for district-wide waste disposal services from B&E Waste Disposal Service in the amount of $57,069.60 per year to be paid out of the district utility account. The board is further respected to request the clerk of the board to issue a purchase order, sign a contract subject to review by board council.
Bill, I've got a quick question on that. If we approve this and then somebody orders a temporary whatever, and it's from a different company, is that going to be paid? Or what are you going to do with that?
You mean like a roll-off dumpster?
Exactly, yeah.
B&E has that service.
Right, but what if somebody calls North End instead of using our preferred provider or whatever you want to call it, the person we have the contract with?
We call,
Okay,
so it would be controlled.
okay.
But we were signing bills last week, and that's what it came across, was there was one from B&E and one from North End, and we asked the question of why.
The high school, if I'm not mistaken, they use B&E for some of their construction debris.
That would be up north?
Yeah.
Yes, that's for the building trades program.
So then would the building trades then go through B&E also, or?
I don't have an answer. That would be what, that's the only thing that's separate. I think it actually goes, if it's paid throughout their account, so I can check.
Okay.
I'll find out how much. That's Dr. Dirksen on it.
Okay. Right.
Can we approve that then, can we?
Hmm?
Can we approve it then?
Yeah.
Or are we
Okay, so
still waiting?
I'll make a motion for approval.
Okay.
Second the motion.
We've got a motion by Tammy and a second by Jamie. All in favor? 6-0.
Okay, the next item is, I'm trying to make sure I don't miss anything tonight on this. The update on, I'm going to spend just a second, if I may, on this, and I'm going to give some kudos. Barb Norton did a wonderful job on this. A number of years ago, we used to do this on an annual basis to give to the board, and we felt, especially with new board members who have not been here forever, and candidly, as we went through this, I found out we had some programs I wasn't as aware of as I might have been, but Barb Norton really kind of took the bull by the horns and did this. I think this is an excellent resource. I also think we'll have 2 new members of cabinets come July. It's an excellent resource also for them. And it gives you a sense of the variety and the breadth of things that we deal with as a district. And so hopefully you find this helpful. If you have questions, we'll try to refer you to the right person. I think many times the right person is named. But again, I do want to thank Barb Norton for putting this together. And we're going to try to update this maybe on an annual basis because a lot of things change. A lot of things change every year. So anyway, it's really more for information. I don't know that you really need to approve that. If you want to approve it, that would be fine. But it's really more for information. Are there any questions about it?
I certainly thank her for doing it. I found
You
it very
too. When I read it, I thought the same thing, so.
Okay. Next item is, there are 3 ratifications of furniture. And let me kind of explain this. We had planned all the furniture. We thought about ordering it early, but if you order it too early, then you get to pay to store it. We did not want to pay to store furniture, and also then things tend to get stored. They tend to get misplaced, disappear, et cetera, or damaged. So we had everything we thought really to the T, but we had some snafus in bidding the furniture, so that is why tonight we have gone ahead, and I'm going to be very transparent. We have ordered the furniture, hoping that you're going to ratify this because we wanted it here in time. I did not want Jackie coming down to my office and say, Bill, I don't have furniture in our classrooms. I decided that was not a good idea. So we do have 3 items today. Ratify purchase of furniture for Dodge City High School, which is on page 129. And it basically comes from 3 vendors, the Hahn Company, Scott Rice Interiors, and Office Plus of Kansas for a total of $435,682.41. I might mention all the bids and furniture did come in below budget, so we're really grateful for that because we were a little over on technology. We added a few things there, so it kind of balanced out, so we're very grateful. So we would appreciate approval on this item.
Okay.
So moved.
All right.
Second.
Got a motion by Pamela and a second by Tracy. All in favor? 6-0.
The second item on the furniture ratification is basically MediaTek did not, for some reason, we did not receive a bid in the general bid, so we went back and asked for quotes on that. It wasn't as much money, but we did, that was what the high school felt they needed for that program. We wanted to make sure they got what they needed, so it came in as a separate quote of $11,539.16.
Make a motion.
Second.
Got a motion by Tracy and a second by Tammy. All in favor? 6-0.
The third item was basically furniture for Central Elementary and Dodge City Middle School. And again, we were under budget. We felt very good about what we've given. I think there's been a tremendous amount of input from principals and so forth. So we'd appreciate the approval of that board consideration sheet.
Make a motion.
Second. A motion by Tracy and a second by Pamela. All in favor? 6-0.
The next item on the list is basically the board-directed administration. It's on page 147, to get an independent consultant to review our health insurance. That has proven to be an interesting thing. We found out a lot of information. One thing that we found out, for example, is a good amount of our reserves in that account really came from forfeitures. It wasn't that we've been overpricing our insurance to our people, but we have a forfeiture policy in this district. But we think this evaluation is going to be good. We reviewed, myself and Ramona and Jeff Hiersman. We basically had 3 proposals presented. The Kansas Association of School Boards sent one to us that really did not respond to what we asked. So we kind of threw them out because they just wanted to come in and take over the whole program, I think was the fair way to say it. So we said, no, that's not what we're asking. We're asking for an independent review. And at the end of the day, the person who does the independent review will not be awarded the contract for the insurance. There were 2 companies, and I think the one in Kansas City had a very good proposal, but Fee Insurance also did. And I think the conversation finally ended up that Fee Insurance was just a little closer, and Hutchison maybe a little more close to Western Kansas. I'm going to ask you to approve this, but in this conversation, there are a number of things, and I'm going to be very candid. I got sick, and, really, if you don't go to the emergency room on a weekend, you really don't have health care in Dodge City. And so we're talking about not only how can we do insurance, but how can we provide health coverage for our employees. Don't know that we can get that done this year. Don't know what the outcome's going to be, but we're going to try to expand it for health care, not just for insurance. And I think that's going to give the board some good things to look at. Dr. Dirksen, did you have something to?
No, sir.
Okay. So, anyway, Jeff, I don't know if you.
Well, we did talk a lot about a lot of things other than insurance. And I think they are worth exploring. I was impressed, to say the least, with the knowledge. I've been around insurance people for 30 years, and I just think since I had some second thoughts about just looking at our insurance program. But once we started talking about, if you look in the proposal, there's EEOC compliance, there's just a whole raft of things that I think can be beneficial to us as a district. And Bill's point about the number of emergency room visits on the weekend and those things and ways to remedy that, I think there's a whole educational process to healthcare. This is more of a healthcare project than it is a healthcare insurance, because I was under a misconception that the money was, I felt like we had employee money in there, and then once I was corrected, that's basically district money because it's the forfeitures. Then I was told that we invented that. That's something that we just invented. And so we do have a lot of funds to not only deal with the insurance portion of it, but also with a total health care package for our employees. So, like I say, because of the totality and closing the gaps in the circle and the possibilities out there, I think this would be money well spent. Especially when you're looking, we spend $3 million. And we spend
$5.5 million.
$5.5 million a year, $23,000. Take a look at it. It's pretty reasonable.
Yeah.
So this forfeiture payments received, that's our self-imposed forfeiture?
Right.
And that's the excess other than the people that Or taking the insurance?
It's people who don't take the insurance. In other words, we may have a spouse of somebody who works at a company where they have complete family
Right.
coverage and everything.
So
and they choose
basically,
not
we
to.
overimposed 5.2. Okay.
Yes.
So, and that's one of the questions that we need to ask. Do we need to continue that? Do we need to continue to the degree we are? That's also going to affect negotiations because negotiation that is part of our negotiated agreement with our faculty. It does not affect necessarily classified administration, but that all kind of works together. So there's a whole bunch of good stuff. And I might mention we've had that conversation with both the healthcare committee, and we've also talked about a little bit about negotiations the other day. And I think we heard a very openness to looking at a lot of possibilities. So I think it's going to be interesting to see where it comes out.
Those forfeitures give us leverage, and with that leverage, we would have some options. Not that we're going to come up with it by the time we're done with negotiations. However, I do think that the study is well served because that will give us more ideas as we look at the whole package of what we can do. So I think we're on the right track. And I appreciate the fact that we've shared with the Health Insurance Committee as well as the negotiations because we're trying to be transparent about all this.
And I think Bill's right. We need to have a discussion at some point in time about the forfeitures.
Yep.
And how we do that. Now, we talk about, are those forfeitures negotiated in the negotiated agreement?
It is with the faculty, yes.
Okay. Well, okay.
So-
We just need to talk about, because that's a lot of money.
It is.
That's
and
a lot of
we
money.
have to be responsible.
And I might mention, it has gone up as the Affordable Care Act came in. Forfeiture amount, if you look at that list, it has gone up in the amount on an annual basis.
Right.
So it is different than it was 2 or 3 years ago. So I think as a board, you're going to get a lot of information. You're probably going to get more information than you want. But in some respects, I think then you can make hopefully good decisions with that information. So that's what the goal is.
And I did speak with Mr. Hammond prior to the meeting, and he addressed some of the questions I had and has promised me some more information, but it is a very in-depth topic.
Yes.
But it's a good problem to have versus the
It
other
is
side.
good.
It's a good
Like-
problem. I mean,
Like Dr. Dirksen said,
better
it
than
gives us
the
some leverage.
opposite. Yeah. So.
I would make a motion, we accept the fee insurance bid to perform the review of the health care program. And I appreciate the way you worded that.
Second.
Motion by Jeff and a second by Tammy. All in favor? 6-0.
The next item is, basically, we've been talking about a parking lot at Comanche Middle School, and this is the engineering proposal for that parking lot. We are designing it. We do own one house now in the corner there, which there's a proposal later to do the asbestos study. We will be tearing it down, but the proposal we're coming up with, we are doing it in such a way that it's going to be designed, if we just end up owning the one house, we can do it, or if at some point we get the other house on that half block, we could expand the parking lot into that too. So we're trying to be thinking ahead a little bit on that. Are there any questions regarding?
Okay. No questions? Okay, I make a motion for approval.
Motion by Tammy and a second by Jamie. All in favor? 6-0.
Thanks to modern technology, I have an answer to one of our previous items that we've already heard back from Chris Moore that he cut the trash service through the building trades program this year to save money. The class has actually been hauling the trash back in barrels using the high school dumpsters and therefore the district trash service. So the bill from B&E isn't for the building trades program. So we're up on that part already, so. I'll check that off my next month list here. And thank you.
The next item is the walk-in freezer coolers at the food service building. As I think I reported in a previous meeting, when we bought the building, we anticipated we could use at least some of the coolers that were in the building. And when we started to get into the building, we discovered there were issues with those coolers. We weren't going to put food in them. So that really raised the price. We're probably going to be about $150,000 over on the old project. We do have the funding in the capital outlay to take care of that. But this is actually to buy the freezers. If you've not been in that facility, I hope we can do a board tour. I think it's going to be an amazing facility that's going to serve the district for many years in the future. And we've had kind comments, even before we painted the building, about cleaning up down there. I think when that gets fully painted, Chris, are we to the paint, or are we still to just the coating on the lower side on that? Do you want to? This is a primer, and it's a special primer to adhere paint to the concrete block after it's been sandblasted, as I understand. Did I get that right? Whew. I was getting nervous about that. But anyway, so I think it's going to be a very nice facility, and I do hope we can take a board tour of that at some point in the future. I think you're really going to be happy with what you have there.
I'd make a motion, we accept the bid in the amount of $236,945 from Sunflower Restaurant Supply Incorporated.
I'll second it. Motion by Jeff and a second by Jamie. All in favor? 6-0.
Next item this evening is the approval of signs for Central, Miller, Northwest, Sewell, Dodge City Middle School, and Dodge City High School. And I had a question, Chris, are those signs of a nature that do they have a thing where you put the teacher's name in them? And that is changeable. It's not so that was a question before the board, and I thought, but I wasn't 100% sure, so I can approve.
Thank you.
That is the kind of signs that we bought. We received really 2 bids on that locally, and there was quite a difference in price. I know, Chris, you spent some time verifying.
I did verify, and it was under specification.
So we wanted to make sure that the lower bid did meet all of our specifications, and it does.
You're sure, Chris? That's quite a spread.
Yes, I was very concerned, but after talking to him, he did not charge us a lot of overhead, he just charged us a small fee.
Okay, very good.
Explain to me what kind of signs these are again. For
For the classrooms.
Classrooms.
Yeah.
Like outside the doorway.
Do they blink?
You saw luminous neon, you thought they were blinking, didn't you?
Who did we bid locally on it?
Pardon?
Who did we bid locally on it?
We bid Luminous Neon Incorporated. They do have a local office here, and by the way, they always do excellent work. I have nothing but praise to say for Luminous. But it was also DC Signs, which is kind of a takeover of another local firm, but he is local and lives, I think, in Dodge City.
He just sold it.
Fast Graphics, and we did put it on the internet.
Did the new company, the DC Signs, whoever took it over, did they bid it too?
They're the ones that are.
They're the ones that.
Is there a reason why this wasn't in the original bid or the bond project?
We feel like we can do it cheaper doing it direct instead of having the overhead from Hutton and the other people involved. It's just something, and we do a lot of our own signage anyway, so that was, I think, I described that pretty well.
I'll move to.
Okay.
Repair that, repair line item, so.
Okay. It's totally.
The number 11, the item number 11, the $150,000.
Yeah.
There's some various things like the football stadium parking lot. There's a couple big issues over at like Civic Center we need to take care of just temporarily. Just different various sidewalks and things. So I can get a list for you if you want that.
Can you give us a little information on item 4, level the ramp drive?
If you haven't been over there, I call it the S curve, coming off of the Bright Beginnings parking lot to the Memorial Stadium. We built it on a hill. Apparently you're not supposed to do that because it's falling off the hill now. So we need to tear that section out and raise it because it's got about a 3-inch gap in the middle of it. It's becoming a safety issue.
That's good. Make a motion to approve the capital outlay projects.
Right.
Second.
Motion by Tracy and a second by Pamela. All in favor? 6-0.
Okay.
Thank you.
The next item is we have new science classroom supplies and equipment for Dodge City High School. That's on page 176. I might mention that Ms. Weiss and I met today, and we still need to get glass beakers. We received some bids on those, but we don't think we got the beakers we wanted. There's a difference in glass beakers, so we're going to take those out and rebid them. So those will be coming in at a later date. But anyway, this is the information we have. We are trying to get everything ready for the fall, and I think we're on pretty good timeline, so.
We ought to go together and buy beakers. We buy them by the thousand.
Well, the whole glassware set.
Yeah. I know.
No. Yeah, make a motion.
Okay.
A second.
Motion by Tracy, second by Tammy. All in favor? 6-0.
The next item is the approval of proposal from Hutton Construction for district-wide landscape. Obviously, with all the constructions around our buildings, we are putting in, one, it's required. Second, it's going to make our buildings look a lot better. But basically, we bid it all together as one package. The only thing we are doing the irrigation ourselves. The reason we're doing the irrigation ourselves is by past experience, you have somebody from Wichita come out, and I shouldn't be getting phone calls at this point, so I'll turn that off. You have somebody from Wichita or outside come in and throw in an irrigation system in. It's got a 1-year warranty. You'll have a couple of calls, and then it falls apart the next year, and we end up redoing it anyway. So our sense is it's just better to have our staff take care of our own irrigation, which we're going to do. And we also think we can save a few bucks on that, but they'll know where everything is and be in a longer thing. But the rest of the landscaping is in this package.
Bill, I'm curious as to why we didn't do a local, like we did with the signs on the landscaping.
Hutton did try to do that. They contacted Cleaver and some other people, and they were just too busy to do the project. We even looked at buying trees from Cleaver, but Cleaver didn't have the trees that the landscape engineers recommended. So that's why we went outside, but we did make an effort to buy local on that.
I'll geek out for a second here. On the design and stuff, they're talking about planting trees and shrubbery and stuff. I know
Yes.
at one point we were going to have a security meeting, but that SEPTED concept, the crime prevention on where they're going to put everything to makes good with all of our, so we don't have any dark areas or our lighting is going to get blocked out by a big tree they
We can
plant.
sure.
Is that?
We can
we
sure
make
do
sure
that.
that's
We can do
addressed
that
before
before
they
we
design it?
actually go forward. We can go ahead and award the contract and just hold it until we have that meeting, Tracy. We can do that.
Or we can move a tree if it looks like it's going to be a problem.
Move a tree, yeah. Or the, I mean, just some of the design part, it's not that big of a deal, but it's better to think of it instead
Agree.
of 10 years ago, have to, or 10
Agree
years later, move it.
Good point, thank you.
Excellent.
Was any of the other local landscape companies contacted that want it besides Cleaver?
I don't know who else. Cleaver's about the only one that does that size of projects locally that I know of.
Yeah, he probably is. He probably is.
And we also, they also publish size it and so forth. It's on, they put everything on they got a network that they do all that with.
I hate spending that kind of money outside of the city, just,
Pardon?
I hate spending that kind of money outside of the city.
I know. I would make a motion to approve the bid to do the district landscaping.
I'll second it.
All right, we've got a motion by Jeff and a second by Pamela. All in favor? 6-0.
The final thing, and I do apologize for having so much on here this evening, but it seems like there's a lot going on. Asbestos abatement, we have two projects. We have Miller Elementary, as you're aware, we've got to do the SIR on the, which end of the hall? South end of the hall this year, getting that finished. And there is some asbestos in that needs to be removed. And also the property at 110 West Mulberry is the property we're going to tear down for the expansion of the Comanche parking lot. So we have to do asbestos there. So that is basically a requirement.
Did we initiate this, or did some agency initiate it? The abatement?
I think we sent out bids on that, didn't we?
No, did we initiate the need, I mean, somebody come in and test it and say we needed to remove it?
Yeah, we had an environmental study done.
Okay,
And there is asbestos, we have to remove it before we can demo.
gotcha. Then make a motion, we approve the asbestos abatement bid.
Motion by Jeff, second by Jamie. All in favor?
Thank you all for your patience this evening. We do appreciate it so much, your
Bill.
support.
Dr. Dirksen?
All right. Very excited to ask for approval for the new position that we've talked about several meetings in a row, and we were able to compile a nice pool of candidates, and we narrowed that down and had a process that involved 2 board members for interviews, and feel very excited, actually is the correct word, to ask for your approval for the position of Deputy Superintendent of Curriculum and Instruction to Dr. Scott Springston, and feel like a highly qualified candidate that's really going to work well with our faculty and our administrators and address this issue in full force. And position is only as good as the personnel we put in there, and I feel very confident in who we're recommending tonight. So I would ask for your approval for this and look forward to moving forward.
Just as a point of order.
Yes, sir.
We approved him already.
Yes, you've approved
We
the
have
position.
already approved him.
That is true. And we did talk about that. I just wanted, and I do appreciate that, Jeff. I just thought it was a critical position. I wanted to be very transparent about it, and
Okay.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah.
It's already on there. I filled out the form, so it's already on that list. So.
Pardon?
It's official, there's been a form from them.
Okay.
Which was a new experience for me too, because other people fill out that form. But I just think it's critical. I think it's something that I truly want the board behind, and so I thought the significance alone required it to be something that I presented to the board.
Pamela and I served on the interview committee, and for me, he was able to speak in a way that I could understand all the school language that I don't always understand, and he was very energetic and had clear examples of what he would do in our district specifically, and he was just very impressive, I felt.
I think we're lucky to get him.
Very good.
So I'd make a motion that we approve what we've already approved.
And I'll second that. You need a second on there.
So all
Point taken.
All in favor? 6-0. All right, thank you. All right, we've got Board of Education member district responsibilities, Park and Rec Advisory Board, Pamela?
I have a report. The Gene Russell Park is completed. My grandson is very happy. The water park, they're getting it ready for opening. They're working on irrigation in the community and spraying the weeds, et cetera. They're planting trees in Chilton Park and a tree for our own Ethel Peterson in Wright Park. So that will honor her, and I was very pleased to hear that. They're also planting trees in the cemetery as well, trying to keep a few more trees that we lost during the ice storms. And they're trying to find some more areas to put backstops for baseball throughout the community. And I think they're working very hard on that.
Thank you. Bright Beginnings Head Start, Tracy?
They wrapped up home visits at the beginning of May. Early childhood special education peer buddy screenings happened May 2nd and 3rd. That's where they peer regular early education kids with the special education kids in the same classroom. So they have peer buddies. They did walk-in applications for enrollment. They've already filled the full-day classroom spots for next year, and they have an additional walk-in application date on June 7th. They're closing out the year with a Wright Park Fun Day. Any of you guys wish to come and volunteer? Those are in-kind hours. We could always use those. So if you might need help on the date, 23rd. It's in my calendar. But so the 23rd, if you want to come play in the park with some awesome little kids, come join us. There'll be a morning session and afternoon session.
I volunteered to do that last year, and it was a blast. It was a lot of fun, yeah. So I would recommend doing that if you've got a few hours to spare. Anything else?
That is it.
Okay, thank you. Special education, Jeff?
Well, we have officially received the resignation of the previous director. So that has been handled. It was a little bit of a struggle to get that done, but it is done. John Maple is the new director of the 613 Cooperative. We are in the midst of negotiations, and they are going well. I will report to you the result of those negotiations, because there are things that are being done that haven't been done before. And we're excited about them, excited to do with our staff. We've hired a totally new office staff as far as the finances go. Very, very excited about that staff. Tomorrow, we will have our 5th meeting in 7 weeks. So hopefully we'll get back on a regular schedule, but I want to compliment the superintendents of the districts that are involved. We began including them in all of our executive sessions, and they added a lot and were very helpful. Our board is a much more engaged board, and I just think that the future is bright, and we'll give the current staff the tools they need to hire the staff that they need. We're also in the process of looking for an assistant director. And I'm not quite sure where that process is, but that should happen. So after about, 8 or 9 months of chaos, I think the ship is righted and we are headed in the right direction. I want to thank Brian Lady, who was the president from Dighton. He did a phenomenal job of shepherding us through this, and it's been quite an experience. Ryan texted Dr. Dirksen and Lisa. He was in Ryan Osmus. He was in Washington, D.C. at a grant meeting, and they were talking about, I guess, special education co-ops, and there was a Kansas education department person on the panel, and they brought up the problems they were having in 613 in Dodge City, Kansas. And so Ryan said he about fell out of his chair. But I guess we're the talk of the town, but I'm very confident in the direction that we're going in, and appreciate the board's support, and appreciate the board's patience as we righted the ship.
Well, we appreciate all the work you put on. Are we paying you mileage? I hope we're paying you mileage today.
Servotech is. They're glad to pay it.
Well, we appreciate all the work you've done on it. Dr. Dirksen, do you have anything on legislative since Ryan's not here?
Well, not really at this point. Excitement is building as the oral briefs are presented on May 22nd, and Bill and I intend to be there to hear how that is going to capture itself. But as we heard tonight from a patron, there's concerns on both sides of that, and we'll just have to wait and see right now. That's the biggest hold that we're on. So,
What are your thoughts about a resolution from the board on not changing the Constitution?
well, I definitely.
I'm putting you on the spot, I realize.
No, you're not putting me on the spot at all, because I'll tell you exactly how I feel. I think that the worst thing that could happen for not only our district, but for all districts in Kansas, is for an amendment to the Constitution that would take that away. So I think that would just lead to a whole lot more of, we've been using the word chaos, and I think it's something that we have to be greatly concerned about. So, and it's not easy, and I understand that. It is something that we definitely have to keep an eye on, but I think right now there's enough in process. I don't know that the amendment is the issue at hand at this point, but that may be coming. So,
Yeah, I appreciate Brad's remarks to us at the board meeting. But I agree with you that I think the Constitution needs to stay.
Yeah.
And I just don't like constitutional amendments.
Yeah.
Something that served us well for
Yeah.
many years.
I agree with that.
Absolutely, I agree.
I have just, one of the things is we've talked about advocacy. There are some districts that on an annual basis do a legislative agenda where they advocate certain things for their district and for education in general. And we could send out something, we could send out, I could see at least one example if you would like to do, that we can review. You might see how some other districts do handle that.
Sure.
Yeah, and that was then my question. Do we want to vote on a resolution as a board that encouraging the legislature not to change the Constitution?
I think it's good.
What's your pleasure?
Do you think that'd be more effective or individual contact with the?
I think both, you know. But I think Dr. Dirksen could go, when he and Bill go to these things, they could go with the full support of the board, you know, their position. Now, we don't have to do a resolution. I mean, they've heard our support. What's your pleasure, Doc?
I'm comfortable either way. I mean, I feel with full knowledge that I have your support, so I've never worried about that. And, but I think making a public statement like that would be a bold commitment on your part that would definitely be appreciated as well. So I wasn't prepared for that tonight, so however you want to handle that.
Well, I didn't even think about it until Terry mentioned it, to be honest with you.
Mm-hmm.
But anybody else's thoughts? Just because I'm throwing this out there.
I'm not opposed to it. I'm not either.
I'm not opposed, I'm just not ready to commit to that at this point in the proceedings.
Okay.
I wouldn't be. I don't know about the rest of the board, but
I would commit to it. I feel like our district has spent a lot of time and money and effort to support education for the state, and I feel like our district, maybe more than other districts, would have a louder voice if we did make such a proposition, or what you call it? Can't come up with the word.
resolution.
There you go.
we have a good
That's the word.
voice going for us.
Pardon?
I think we have a good voice talking for us as it is. So,
I appreciate
Very
that.
comfortable there.
Mr. Hammond showed me that sample tonight, and we didn't have it on the agenda. And I think that's something that we should look at from the advocacy side, and then that may direct us in how we would handle a resolution or how we would handle that support in the future. So I think right now, Bill and I both intend to go to the Topeka, to the Kansas Supreme Court to hear the oral arguments. And I think it's important that we be there. We're one of the original plaintiffs, and we want to show support for that, and we still believe in it, and that's why we're there. And so we're making that statement already, but we'll work on that resolution, what that might look like, and we'll present that to you. So.
And it may be a moot point until the next legislative session. Well, it's going to be, because this
Unless
session's
unless the court brings them back, which won't happen on May 22nd. They're just going to hear the arguments, and then they'll make a ruling after that. So we have plenty of time, so.
Okay.
Yep.
Capital outlay, we've already voted on that. Tracy, did you have anything to add to capital outlay? No?
Nope, our committee meeting went very smooth and everybody had some fiery inputs that were equalization for everybody, and it went very well.
Yeah, good. Good. Calendar committee, will name someone to that committee in July. Kansas Heritage Center, we have not met since we made that decision to transition. So we've got, for the June board meeting, we've got Pamela scheduled to review the district bills. I'd be happy to meet with you and Kathy to go over that first time, so we can work that out. Announcements, this coming Saturday, May 19th, is Dodge City High School commencement at United Wireless Arena at 10:30. Jackie wants us there by 10:15. The last few years, we've had all 7 board members present, and I'd like us to keep our record going, so please make every effort to be there on
I
Saturday.
did have a request for an accurate count tonight, and of course, in Ryan's absence, I can't expect us to know if he's going to be there or not, but
I will be there.
does everyone think that they can be there?
Yes.
All right, so we'll plan on that. And I'm guessing because of Ryan's commitment today that he can be here Saturday, and you would check with him tomorrow to make sure and let us know
I'll
if I'm
let you
wrong
know
on
for
that.
sure.
But right now, I'm guessing that he will be. So
Yeah. Okay.
He understands the importance of that. So.
Yep. Sunday, May 20th, is the Dodge City Education Center Adult Diploma Program graduation ceremony, Dodge City High School at 2 p.m. Typically, that's not as well attended as the Dodge City High School, but that is a neat thing to attend because those people have worked really hard.
Every bit as important.
Absolutely. So Wednesday, May 23rd is the last day of classes for pre-kindergarten to 11th grade. Thursday, May 24th is Teacher Workday, last day of the 18-19 teacher contract. We will not have a second board meeting in May because of Memorial Day. Saturday, June 2nd, very exciting, from 10 a.m. to 4, and then Sunday, June 3rd, from 12 to 4, we'll have the Kansas Cosmosphere Science Fair for pre-K to 12 students at our Civic Center. All the activities are free of charge. I assume you would still take volunteers to help with that? Yep.
We'll say yes.
And then Saturday, June 2nd, also is the Kansas Teachers Hall of Fame induction ceremony at the high school at 2 o'clock. Monday, June 11th, will be our next board meeting here in the Austin Boardroom at 6 o'clock. Do we have anything that we would like added or discussion for future board meetings? No? Okay, we need an executive session for discussion of personnel matters, of non-elected personnel. How long?
I would like Ramona to be a part of it, and I think 15 minutes would cover it.
Okay.
Okay, I make a motion for 15 minutes of executive session for personnel.
Okay. Second. All right, we have a motion by Tammy and a second by Tracy. All in favor?
I'll hold you to
6-0.
15 minutes here, Don.
Do we know how many kids are graduating?
What's that?
Do we know how many kids are graduating?
Look at this. See, Jamie?
No. Hey,
This is working.
Jackie,
It's 8:08, and we got 15
do you know what our